Good morning, everyone. We are here in Woodside Park Shore and wanted to share with you a bit of learning this morning. This morning's learning is dedicated in memory of Leah Bas Asher Onsho and all those that have Yortzeit today and have are saying Kaddish during their year. Good morning, Peter. Good morning, Estelle. Good morning, Caroline. Good morning, Clarice. Good morning, Richard, and everyone that are still joining us. Parshas Kedoshim, which we read yesterday in Shul, is replete with commandments, with mitzvot. I don't think any other parsha has as many mitzvot. And many of those mitzvot are bein adam lechavero, are between us and our fellow human being, the way we interact, the way we behave, the consideration that we have for other people. And one in particular is the obligation and responsibility for us to rebuke our fellow Jew, that if somebody's doing something wrong, I don't ignore it, but I give them tochacha. I rebuke them and tell them to mend their ways. And the question is obvious, if you think about it. In society in which we live and let live is very much the byword. People can walk around and pretty much wear what they wear, say what they say, and do what they do, and nobody bats an eyelid. Nobody would say boo to a goose. We're not allowed to say a word, because at the end of the day, that's part of being a democracy and a free society, that, you can do what you want to do, I do what I want to do. And as long as I don't interfere with your rights and you don't interfere with my rights, then everything is great. Torah has a slightly different approach. And that is, of course, that we have, from the time of the giving of the Torah, what's called arevut. And that is, we have a collective responsibility. If the Jewish people are literally like one entity, then we have to ensure that we are responsible. We care for one another. The same way, if your child was doing something that was dangerous or wrong, you'd want to tell them, correct them, mend their ways, guide them. You wouldn't just ignore it. So it is with the mitzvot. There's a wonderful story, because obviously there's a danger when it comes to telling somebody, that they've done something wrong or that they need to improve in a certain area. There's a real danger that somebody may take offense. It could be counterproductive. It could lead to a worsening, a weakening of the relationships between you and someone else. The Chofetz Chaim was once in a inn, and he noticed that there was this burly man, who was sitting at the table next to him, and he had literally a whole roast chicken next to him, and he had a tall glass of beer. And to the Chofetz Chaim's amazement, this man literally devoured in one go the whole fowl, the whole of chicken, and then he washed it down with a beer. And he'd never seen anything like this. And this is not to mention there was no blessing, no nothing. So he called over the innkeeper and he said to him, "Listen, there must be a story behind it. I'm fascinated. I've never seen anybody eat this way." And the man, the innkeeper, told the Chofetz Chaim that in fact this burly man was one of the Cantonists. Cantonists, we know, Jewish young boys were captured and had to be in the army for 20 years and suffered tremendously and weren't able to practice or keep their faith. So Chofetz Chaim went over to him, and instead of rebuking him or instructing him that he'd done anything wrong, the Chofetz Chaim started to wax lyrical and sing his praises. He said, I just heard that you were a Cantonist. I've got to tell you, I am in awe of you. I'm amazed at the way that you managed to keep your faith, despite the fact that you were a Cantonist and you didn't have the same opportunities. And with that, the man burst into tears and started to cry profusely. He was so ashamed and embarrassed about the lack of upbringing that he had and the missed opportunities that he didn't have a Jewish education. And the Chofetz Chaim consoled him, as he was wont to do. And instead of rebuking him for the way that he was behaving, he said to him, "You've got such opportunities. It's never too late. You can reform yourself. I'll help you." And lo and behold, this man, it in fact became a great student of the Chofetz Chaim, and he became a religious Jew. That is because when the person, the Chofetz Chaim in this case, that was giving the rebuke was doing so, it was abundantly clear to the burly man that actually the Chofetz Chaim really cared and loved for him. It was thinking about the other person rather than themselves. Sometimes when we tell people off or we criticize, it's because it's something that bothers us. We're thinking of it from our perspective, not from the other person's perspective. If we are able to think about it from the other's perspectives, then they will recognize that actually we've got their interests at heart, and therefore we're interested in what's best for them. And with that, there's no question that we'll see that they will want to improve or to listen to whatever we have to say. It's true with people that we don't know, and it's definitely true with the challenge of bringing up children, teenagers, and the like. The slightest thing that you say to them, and they fly off the handle, they get very upset, irate. I don't need anyone to tell me anything. So we have to be a bit savvy and recognize that you can't rebuke, but by giving praises and bringing out the positives, that in itself can bring the person to a realization of what they need to do and how they can choose to change for the better. Wishing everyone well. Have a great day. Look after yourselves. And please God, we look forward to seeing you in the week. Special Mazel Tov and shout out my dear friend Rabbi Mark Levine and his Rebbetzin Lisa Levine on the occasion of their bat mitzvah of their daughter today. Mazel Tov to the Levine family. Have a great day, everyone.